Welcome back, movie lovers. I'm Josh.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Joe.
And with our powers combined, we are
Garner Brothers Movie Lovers.
Hit that like button and we'll get started. But before we get started, we're all wearing Garner Brothers t-shirts.
Matching.
Yeah. We got a shop on TeePublic, so if you want to spread the word of the good news, then go ahead and check it out. We'll put a link in the description.
Welcome back to the channel.
Yeah, Joe.
That's okay.
But welcome back. We're so glad to have you with us again. We'll have to do this just every time you come visit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Today we're talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife. In this movie, a family travels to a small town to claim their inheritance from their deceased grandfather, but there's ghosts and stuff. It's a pretty good intro, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's basically the movie. Film is directed by Jason Reitman, son of the director of the original Ghostbusters film. Writers were Gil Kennan, Jason Reitman, and Dan Aykroyd. Well, or based on characters by Dan Aykroyd. I don't know.
Yeah,
how
he's
much
listed
he actually wrote.
on IMDb as one of the credits, but when you click on it and you go a little further, it's a little...
Yeah.
He looks like he's a little less directly involved with the writing process.
Yeah. Film stars McKenna Grace, Logan Kim, Finn Wolfhard, Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, Celeste O'Connor. And the film has a soundtrack by Rob Simonson, and it sounds great. It sounds just like a Ghostbusters film that was made in the 1980s. It's got a great sound. Reuses some of the themes from the original.
Okay, so if you are thinking, do I want to go see this movie? This review might be good for you because we have someone who has never seen the original Ghostbusters, someone who has seen the original Ghostbusters but isn't incredibly nostalgic about them, and somebody who saw the original Ghostbusters young, really liked the real Ghostbusters cartoon, and
Loved Ghostbusters.
made proton packs out of paper.
I did when I was a kid. I just wanted to be a Ghostbuster. I did. I made my own proton pack out of paper because I just really wanted one.
I enjoyed a lot of the humor that was put throughout. Paul Rudd is hilarious throughout the movie. So is the little boy.
Logan Kim.
Logan Kim, they're my two favorites. But yeah, I laughed out loud quite a few times and I thought it was fun.
You're right. It was really funny.
I really liked how they did the special effects. The special effects in this film, it looks like they even went back to animatronic, those big
Dog demons.
Yeah. They look like they're using the same technology that they used with the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So it's not like all of the special effects have advanced so far in this film that it doesn't look like it could have happened in the same universe, right? It's not like Star Wars. Everybody was a puppet in the 80s, and then they're all computer animated in the early 2000s, and they don't look the same. In this case, they do look the same, and they act the same, and so it just really looks like a continuation of that same world. Even though the special effects have gotten a lot better, and they're very good special effects. They look great, but they also look like the original, and so I thought that was fun. I also thought it was really funny. I mean, any movie that can make me laugh out loud as many times as this one did.
In some cases, probably looks worse than it would have if they had done it differently.
Right.
But because it looks just like it did in the 80s, it will,
It looks perfect. It looks just like it should look.
It works.
There were a few things like that, even though I haven't seen the original Ghostbusters, that I could pick up on were nostalgia factors. Even though I haven't seen the movie, I knew the blob monster and somebody
Slimer.
that looks like that. Yeah, pops up in the movie, and I could tell the animation was different as well with the dog in the grocery store.
And the focus on the Twinkie.
Twinkie, yeah.
Something else that I thought was great was the performance by Phoebe. So McKenna Grace is awesome as Phoebe. I think she does a great job channeling Egon. She looks just like him with the little spectacles on the edge of her nose. Like the way they styled her, they made her look perfectly like the granddaughter of Egon. Definitely his heir apparent. I thought that was great. She did an awesome job, and I thought she was funny too. Her jokes were awful, except I laughed so hard at them.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So one thing they did in this movie is they they have kid versions of all the original Ghostbusters, or replacements of a bunch of Ghostbusters characters. And Phoebe is obviously Egon, and Egon was the guy who took everything so seriously in the original Ghostbusters, and she is like so serious about everything that she just doesn't even understand how to tell a joke. It's like being not serious is like impossible for her. We have the Asian kid who is really funny. His name is Podcast. And he is Raymond. Trevor, who's replacing Venkman. And Lucky is Winston. And then you even have like Paul Rudd playing Rick Moranis' character and Carrie Coon as Sigourney Weaver. And then you have Muncher and Slimer. Anyway, so they have almost perfectly replaced every single character from the original Ghostbusters, which should bother me more than it does, I think. But it doesn't.
Well, it's the Force Awakens effect. Shall we talk about that? Yeah. This movie is to Ghostbusters what The Force Awakens was to the Star Wars trilogy. About that same amount of reusing the same kind of character types and general plot line, but having it be different enough that it doesn't just feel like they've remade it.
Some of the characters are exactly the same, right?
The ghost dogs.
The ghost dogs, the ghost mushroom, or not mushroom, ghost marshmallow. Ghost marshmallow.
The marshmallow.
You've got the
ghost.
little
the same,
Stay Puft Marshmallow Men. So we have a lot of the same ghosts and the same general storyline that way. So if you're the type of person who has a lot of nostalgia for the original Ghostbusters, and you did for the Star Wars franchise, and you hated The Force Awakens because it reused so many of those things, then this movie might offend you. But if you liked The Force Awakens despite the similarities to the original, then you're probably going to have a similar feeling about this one.
Yeah, and I think that applies for me with the way I feel about The Force Awakens and the way I feel about Ghostbusters Afterlife. I was aware that it was kind of reusing a bunch of stuff, but it didn't bother me too much, probably because there's a little bit of nostalgia there, I guess. And I feel like it's a perfect way if you've had a franchise and when you started it, everyone in the whole world loved it, and you tried to reboot it and you failed, and then you want to bring it back to what everyone loved and give it another shot. Doing this is perfect. But now they've brought it back, and they can branch out and ruin it like they did with Star Wars. No, hopefully
Indeed.
It goes better, but they've set themselves up well, I think.
The thing that bothered me the most was at the beginning of the movie, strange things start happening and people start seeing ghosts and paranormal activity, and some of their reactions just aren't very believable.
Almost all of their reactions.
It's surprising that they would have made their reaction so apathetic. Like the lead girl, she doesn't believe in ghosts, and then when she starts seeing things like chess pieces thrown at her and like
she's
lights
just
flickering,
like,
and she's
okay.
She's like really, really chill. Yeah,
and they do try to.
There is an explanation for that in her particular case.
But everyone responds the same way.
Yeah.
And they explain that for some reason she's comfortable in uncomfortable situations or something like that. So,
or they also said that she reacts big on the inside but not on the outside is something she was saying. So and that I could buy, but then there's also occurrences with a group of teenagers who see a blast of ghosts coming out of a
demon comes out of the mine shaft
and everybody just starts laughing.
Yeah. After it happens, they all just chuckle like it was this funny thing. And
remember when that demon came out of the mine shaft, guys? That was hilarious. It's not just them. It was Paul Rudd the first time. When they have the trap and they open it up and the ghost comes out and the ghost is like, brrr, and then runs away. They're just like, whoa, okay, let's go. And that's how everyone is. And it's really kind of weird. There's even a part later where like one of the ghosts is in like a coffee shop and the barista is just like pouring coffee into a ghost's mug. Like, something's off about this, man.
There's a zombie sitting there.
So probably my biggest complaint of the movie is I felt like the pacing was a bit off. It felt really slow.
For the first half.
Probably the first
3/4.
2/3. I wouldn't have liked the movie if it didn't end on such a magnificent note.
It is a little bit less a Ghostbuster film and a little bit more a film about a family. And if you see it through that lens, all the stuff at the beginning, like, it does feel like a film about a family. I think it's probably the director's style. I heard him say that he didn't want to necessarily make a ghost movie. He wanted to tell this story, and so, but it does make for a slower film. It feels more like a different kind of movie for most of it, with some Ghostbuster stuff thrown in.
That's true.
Yeah. One other gripe that I have is that they reused the same mythology from the original. Now, I know that we just said, we kind of like what Force Awakens did for Star Wars. In this particular case, I do kind of wish they had introduced some new ghost mythology, not the exact same one from the first movie. Because the second Ghostbusters film had a totally different mythology. Another scary ghost who has another, there's a whole mythology around him. And they could have introduced a totally new thing.
And even though the second Ghostbusters is not looked upon well, I like the way they built that stuff around that character from the second movie and how he thrives on hate. And it was creative, and I like what they were trying to do. It probably could have been done better, but try to do that
maybe
again,
the sequel will just regurgitate that guy.
Maybe.
I will just say I agree with you about the ending. Without spoiling the ending, I will agree that the ending of this film does redeem a lot of what comes before. In my mind, I loved the ending. You loved the ending. I know some other people who really like the ending. I did hear one person really hate the ending and said that they thought it was in really poor taste. We can get into that with the spoilers, but I didn't get any of that.
Sure.
I liked it a lot.
All right. So, looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie, it has a 63%. It was at 61%. It was almost a rotten score, but it's come back up, and it's been a while now, so it's probably safely at a fresh score, but just barely.
Audiences, though, like it a lot. 95% audience score.
Yeah. We are going to put it on the good, fine, bad scale at...
I'm going to say it was fine.
I'm going to say it was good.
I will say it's good as well. I agree with the 63% tomato meter, though. It's not a great film. I enjoyed it.
I think I would put it higher than 63. I wouldn't put it as high as 95, but I'd find some place in the middle there. Probably mid-70s. But... there you go. We just we're doing good, fine, bad, and we just gave you super specific percentageal points for that. I think if you loved the original Ghostbusters, go see this in theaters. If you haven't already, it's been forever since this movie came out. So
you've probably already
seen
the
it.
original.
Unless
if you don't have a connection, Joseph doesn't have a big connection. He thought it was just fine, so that might give you an idea.
Yeah. I like Chris. I agree with the 63% rating with Rotten Tomatoes. It was entertaining. I don't need to see it again.
We're moving into the spoilery section, so like this video, or else you'll be forced to watch the rest and be spoiled.
It's not much of a spoil to say that the original Ghostbusters are back. Well, with the exception of Harold Ramis is obviously not in the film. But he is back. But he kind of is.
Yeah.
I was actually really surprised at the beginning of the film. It was clearly him on the porch of that farmhouse. I was like, that's Egon. Like, clearly it was him. Like,
it didn't.
You don't get a good look at the actor who was playing him or anything, but you knew that was him. You could see his glasses. You could see his hair. You knew... and so they brought him back. I was surprised that he would even be a character in the film that was alive at any point in the film, but they did. That was surprising to me.
There's a couple of choices that seem a bit hard to swallow for me. Specifically that, the Ghostbusters broke up and they called Dan Aykroyd and asked him for help, and he's like,
no thanks.
Forget about this. Well, what happened to the Ghostbusters? And he's like, Egon started believing in ghosts, and we were like, get out of here, you crazy person. and Dan Aykroyd in the original Ghostbusters is the conspiracy theorist.
The craziest
He believes everything. Like, when this movie started and we saw that one of the original Ghostbusters was running around in some cornfield being chased by a ghost, and he was alone, I thought for sure it was going to be Dan Aykroyd, because of all of them, he would be the one to continue to pursue this. But then when they call him, he's just like, he went off the deep end.
Yeah, Egon was talking about the end of the world. I'm not so sure about all of that. Didn't really seem like Ray.
Even though I hadn't seen the original Ghostbusters, I was thinking
still
the same
thought that
thing.
was
I was
weird.
like, one of the original Ghostbusters, like, didn't believe that there were ghosts in this town.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, we are kind
a
of
plot convenience here, just
Sure.
so the movie can happen.
yeah.
But
And I think we are kind of exaggerating that a little bit, that he didn't believe in ghosts at all. But just his attitude in general was so much so that we can exaggerate it, and it's not that far off. What do you got?
just that finale.
That finale. That is, like I said, the reason that this movie went from fine to good, in my opinion, is that finale was incredible. It was a beautiful tribute to Harold Ramis.
Yeah. That's how I saw it too. I know some people thought it was in bad taste to bring him back as a ghost and have him there on screen with the rest of them, but
It could be if it was done poorly.
no,
but
I thought
not.
it honored him so much, and the original film, and that shot when the reveal was so effective too.
When she's holding the proton
when Phoebe's
cannon,
holding the blaster, and then
the
you can
camera's
see
zooming
that
around
there's
her.
another arm, a ghostly arm around her, and it
man.
starts to zoom around.
I'm getting
and you
goosebumps
see
just
Egon for the
thinking
first
about
time.
it.
Brilliant reveal. It was shot perfectly. It was done
And the
so
music was
well.
swelling.
Yeah. Awesome moment. And then when it lines up all the original Ghostbusters and all four of them are there, but Egon's the ghost. Awesome. Awesome
Really
scene.
cool.
And a couple little things that they say to him at that point, it just, I thought it was done really well.
There's even a little bit of a comedic moment when they pan out and it's all the four Ghostbusters and
Yeah. Everybody's double taking.
everyone's like, oh.
They're like, there's Egon.
Yeah.
What the? There's Egon.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray and Winston. So I guess I should say Venkman and Winston both do that. Anyway,
Yeah.
it was really, really good. There was a couple moments where I can kind of sympathize with people who felt like it was in poor taste. Overall, I think it was done nearly perfectly. I do think they lingered a couple of times a little longer than was necessary. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes it was like, sometimes showing a little bit less is more impactful. And, but honestly, didn't bother me. It was really, really awesome.
I do have one last minor gripe, spoilery gripe. So Egon moves away from his family and apparently never talks to them again. Mm-hmm. But he apparently also has a photographic shrine to his daughter in the basement of his farmhouse. Mm-hmm. And so she discovers this place at some point and realizes that her daddy really did love her, but did he not have a phone? Like, why did he never call?
Yeah.
Why did he completely cut off all of his family relations so that he could save the world? Like, he still could have called, like he didn't. Anyway, that's a small gripe.
Another gripe that I'm remembering we talked about was they at the very end of the movie they set off these traps for all the ghosts in the whole city.
Oh yeah.
And you see like the ghost of Igor, is that his name? What's his wait, not Igor.
Egon?
Egon.
Igor.
Igor.
It's Igor from Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, he's there. He's in this movie. No, anyways, they see the ghost of him, and he's
Master.
like, and everybody, all the other ghosts are being sucked into these traps.
And you do see it from all over the city. You see
Yeah,
them
yeah.
being pulled from all around.
ghosts.
The traps are over at the farm and they're getting sucked away from miles away back into these traps.
Because he's using like some sort of super powered generator.
Right. Except for
him.
Egon. He
Because
never gets sucked in.
Because he's a good ghost, is what we decided at the end.
It only sucks in the bad ones.
Yeah.
I do also want to mention, we talked about how sometimes the effects were also nostalgic. But the really bad set, I think, is the set piece from the 80s rock goddess demon who shows up at the end. And they just have like this white styrofoam platform.
It really does look like styrofoam.
And there's, the special effects team was like, some guy goes up to add some shading, some age to this stone steps, and this guy's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I was gonna make it look real." And he's like, "No, we want this to be a bad 80s set piece." And should have bothered me, but it didn't because of it wasn't. I wasn't thinking that looks bad, I was thinking, that looks like Ghostbusters from the 80s. Thanks for watching, everybody. Give us a like.
Subscribe if you want to see
subscribe.
the other videos we make in the future. We'll be reviewing lots more.
Yep, we bought our tickets today to go see Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm more excited to see that than
He's ever been about anything in his
That's
whole
right.
life.
it goes. Spider-Man, No Way Home, my firstborn child, getting married. So thanks for watching. Do all the things. And in case we don't see you, good afternoon,
good evening, and good night.
Okay, pause just a second.
We
This
lost
light
a
just
light.
turned out.
I noticed that.
What the heck?
Yeah, went out.
Everyone, there's ghosts. They're affecting the electromagnetic connections of our lighting equipment.
That was weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
Also, that one just started nodding at me.